Hello YouTube. This is a review of the Reef Octopuss Biopellet Reactor. There's been a lot of questions on the equipment forums about, is the Reef Octopuss pellet reactor worth the coin? I say yes. A lot of people are taking GFO reactors, phosbane reactors, and repurposing them with some modifications, and I think that works fine if you have those reactors laying around, you're not using them, but they hold less volume, and they're no substitute for a purpose-built reactor. This reactor costs around $150. This is the biggest Reef Octopuss hang on the back biopellet reactor. There is a freestanding version that costs more money, and I think it does hold more than this one does, but as far as neatness and appearance, the hang on the back one is, in my opinion, the way to go. There are three sizes of this one that I'm aware of. This is the biggest one. This is the 1500 mil or 6-cup version. Now, even though it says it'll hold 6 cups, you can't put 6 cups in it because the pellets have to have room to move. I'm going to shut the flow off right now so you can see how many cups are in it. So there's about, I don't know, 4 cups there. I will fill it to the bottom of the sticker, or which lines up with the bottom of this plastic ledge in there. That's the most I fill it up to. When you if you fill up more than that, then you can only get about that much flow going in it, or it'll jam up the filter that's on the top here. I wish they were a little bit more open about that subject, or especially for people that have never used biopellets before, because you're thinking, well, that'll hold 6 cups, and it really doesn't. I adjust mine by this little ball valve here, which I got from Bulk Reef Supply. The reason I have that in line is I didn't anticipate being able to adjust the flow precisely with a 1/2-inch ball valve. In reality, the 1/2-inch ball valve works great, so you can adjust the flow precisely with a 1/2-inch ball valve. But if you're going to use a 3/4-inch ball valve on your pump, make sure you put a second ball valve behind the 3/4-inch ball valve. Otherwise, you can't control it with a 3/4-inch ball valve. I know that for a fact because I use a 3/4-inch ball valve to control the flow of my sterilizer, and it's quite difficult to get the flow correctly. So make sure you either put a 3/4-inch, then a 1/2-inch, or just go with a 1/2-inch. That way you have one to shut off the flow, and one to adjust the flow. But like I said, at 1/2-inch just does fine. So I'm probably going to remove this one next time I take us apart for service. Now, take a look at the flow pattern of the pellets. This is mesmerizing. It's fun to look at, by the way. It's like a lava lamp. The reaction chamber, there's a lot of flow coming out here at the bottom, and those pellets fly to about this area, and then they rotate down. That's with the direct force of the water flow. The pellets that are above it, if you watch them long enough, you realize there's a pattern. They come down to here and they flow up here. Now, the area that has more flow, being closer to the bottom, eventually these pellets get smaller and smaller and smaller because there's more friction and wear and tear. And what ends up happening is these will flop places. As these get smaller, they get blown up top, and then the heavier ones fall down. But basically there's a double pattern here. If you look real carefully, you'll see some real small ones here, and they were the last batch of pellets. And anyway, so there's like 3 stages of pellets that I've added there. Newest being the biggest, medium ones, and then the original old ones. And they last, oh man, I'll tell you, if you filled this thing up to here and let it run, it would take almost a year before you got down to the last batch. And if you do that, if you just fill it once a year and then don't retop it off, you have to turn the flow down, because what happens is when you get it down here, this much flow would blow these all over the place. So you have to keep adjusting it. Keep topping it off. Now, when it came, it came with a hose barb that you glued into this spot here, and you just fed it with a pump. I think I've been told the Mag 7 works fine, or some other pump, and a lot of people are using the Mag 7 so you could ball it back a little bit. A Mag 5 works fine, but I've been told that you won't get as much flow up here. There'll be like a dead roll up here, or just a simmer action when you want a little bit more flow. Now I've adjusted that to hard plumbing with this isn't a John Gus fitting, but a similar pressed fitting, so I can easily take this apart. And then it also came with a hose barb you glued into here, and I didn't like that, so I turned it to hard plumbing and an elbow that comes down, and it has a direction for it to come over to my pump. Now this is an 850-gallon fish tank. If you use bulk Reef Supplies calculator, that's 16 cups of biopellets. There's no way that I am going to use 16 cups of biopellets. I believe that when you get a bigger tank like mine, the calculators go out the window. They're probably more accurate for the smaller reef fish tanks, but when you start getting big ones, I'm not quite sure I believe that. And I'm not gonna, purchase, 5 more of these reactors to hang on my sump. Ain't gonna happen. But I'm not using this biopellet reactor for most people's purpose to eliminate phosphates, nitrites, nitrates. I'm using it to grow bacteria to feed the filter feeders in my reef tank, which it works great for that, because they've had explosions of sponge, critters that live off of the bacteria are just growing like mad in the tank, coral food, etc. It does take the edge off the phosphates, it does take the edge off everything else, but I'm not using it for that purpose. Also, there's some horror stories of people using way too much at the beginning and shocking the tank. So anyway, I'm a big fan of this unit. If I had anything negative to say about it, let me see. I think the bracket should be bigger for people who use big tanks for a sump. Right now I can't get the bracket all the way over the lip. It's fine because these little screw knobs will actually lock down on the lip where the glass would set, but it sure would be nice if it went the whole way over. I mean, it's not going anywhere. See, it's pretty rigid. There's a ledge on this pipe that goes down and feeds the water circulation, and the smaller fragments of pellets rest on there, and I don't like that. I think that could have been some sort of a bevel. I'm going to put an O-ring on that, so to eliminate the ledge. I'm going to stretch it over and set it there so that the pellets, they can't land there, they fall back down. That's my fix for that. Maintenance wise, you just shut the flow off, you spin the cap off, roll the ring back, wiggle back and forth, you get a wiggle. Gently. If you pull up, you'll pull the pipe out, and then it's a pain in the butt to get the pipe through the pellets and get it on the nipple at the bottom of the pipe. There we go. And then you just reach in here and you pull the screen out. And what happens is, on the screen, your small pieces of biopellet get on there, so you just take them to the sink and rinse them off, and then put it back on there. Now, sometimes I get an overabundance of those little tiny pellets. To get rid of them, I'll turn the flow on. I'll put a sock on the pipe. And I'll turn the flow on, and you flutter the flow valve, and the particles of the pellets will come up off the bigger pellets, and then they'll go out the drain and get caught in the sock. Then I'll shut it back off, and I'll go ahead and put the screen back on. But this thing is awesome. I have no complaints whatsoever. It's easy to take apart. You see I did that one-handed. And then when you do take it apart, you get a big air bubble in there, which I'll show you here in a second. I flutter it to get the air bubble out. And I usually run it low power for a little bit to get all the bubbles out. I take it right back up to full speed. Now, a lot of people use you know, the bulk reef supply style, and that works fine, but you got to modify the canister, and you can't see through there very clearly, and you know, by the time you get these will hold 3 cups. By the time you put 2 cups in them, you know, you need a reactor this size to do the same job as this, and by the time you bought, you know, a reactor style like this from Bulk Reef Supply, you're going to be out, you know, $60-70. Takes up more space. This becomes such a bargain to me by the time you factor in all that. Although these do work, but and this, like I said, this is the biggest one. It was $150, and the smaller ones to the same purpose of this would cost less. So to me, I'm a big fan of this. I just, okay, that's my review. Hope it helps you out.